Have you ever felt that your life was already decided for you? Not by fate, not by God, but by your zip code. Jimmy grew up in a small American town where the highway passed by but never stopped. There was one gas station, one grocery store, one red brick school that had not changed in 30 years. Beyond the town were long cornfields that moved like quiet waves when the wind passed through. Jimmy's house stood at the edge of those fields, a small wooden place with peeling white paint and a porch that leaned a little to the left. When it rained, water tapped on the roof like restless fingers. In winter, the cold slipped in through the windows, no matter how tight they were shut. Jimmy was poor, not the kind of poor you see in movies, the quiet kind. His sneakers had a tear near the sole. When he walked across gravel, he felt each stone. His backpack was faded and stitched along the side with thick thread his mother had found in a drawer. Sometimes at school, he kept his jacket on because he knew the elbow patch was coming loose. Lunch was simple: a peanut butter sandwich, an apple when they could afford it. Some days, just the sandwich. But inside Jimmy there was something that did not look poor. It was a dream. He did not yet know its full shape. He only knew he did not want his father to come home every evening with tired shoulders and empty hands. His father worked at a small auto repair garage off Route 6. The pay was low. The hours were long. His hands were always stained with oil that no soap could fully remove. His mother worked part-time at the grocery store. She smiled at customers even on days when her cough would not leave her chest. At night, Jimmy sometimes heard her coughing in the kitchen while she tried not to wake anyone. He would stare at the ceiling and feel something heavy in his chest. That weight became his dream. When Jimmy spoke about doing something big, starting a business one day, building something of his own, people smiled in a careful way. "Son," an older neighbor once said, leaning on a pickup truck, "folks around here don't get rich. Best learn a trade. Keep your head down." At school, a classmate laughed when Jimmy said he wanted to own his own tech store one day. "With what money?" the boy asked. Jimmy laughed too. But later, walking home along the quiet road, the laughter echoed longer than it should have. One evening, he sat by Miller's Creek just outside town. The water was shallow. The grass along the bank was dry and yellow. He picked up small stones and threw them into the water. Each splash felt like a question. An old retired teacher named Mr. Raymond was walking his dog along the path. He had taught at the town's high school for over 30 years. He stopped when he saw Jimmy sitting alone. "Mind if I sit?" the old man asked. Jimmy shook his head. Mr. Raymond lowered himself slowly onto the grass. His knees cracked when he bent them. "You look like a man carrying more than a backpack," he said gently. Jimmy swallowed. "Everyone says I should think small," he admitted. "They say guys like me don't get far, that I should focus on getting by." The old teacher was quiet for a moment. He watched the creek. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small pocket mirror, the kind used for shaving. The metal edges were scratched. "Look," he said. Jimmy saw his own face. Thin, tired. A small scar near his eyebrow from helping his dad at the garage. "What do you see?" Mr. Raymond asked. "Myself. Look longer." Jimmy frowned. He held the mirror steady. He noticed the shadows under his eyes, the wind in his hair. Then he saw something else. His eyes were not empty. They were steady. There was heat in them, a quiet determination. That, Mr. Raymond said softly, is belief. Most people let life put dust on their mirror. They stop looking at who they could be. They only see who they are today. Jimmy listened carefully. People will doubt you, the old man continued. That's normal. But your job is simple. Clean the mirror every day with action. Not talk. Action. The sun dipped lower behind the cornfields. Jimmy held the mirror a little longer before handing it back. That night, he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan that made a slow ticking sound as it turned. He thought about dust. He thought about mirrors. The next morning, nothing magical happened. The town was the same. The gas station sign still flickered. The grocery store bell still rang when customers walked in. But Jimmy felt different. He started spending afternoons at the public library instead of going straight home. The building smelled like old paper and floor cleaner. He read books about small businesses, about electronics, about people who had started with nothing but skill and grit. In the evenings, he worked part-time at the gas station. He wiped down counters, restocked shelves, counted change carefully. Customers came and went without noticing him much, but Jimmy noticed everything. How inventory was tracked, how profit was counted, how small mistakes cost money. On weekends, he helped his father at the garage. He learned how engines worked, how to handle tools, how to speak respectfully to customers. His hands grew stronger. His confidence grew quietly. At night, when his parents were asleep, he sat at the small desk in his room. The lamp gave off a soft yellow light. Outside, crickets sang. He studied online tutorials on an old second-hand laptop someone had thrown away. He fixed it himself. He learned how to repair phones, how to replace screens, how to solder tiny wires without shaking. There were days he felt exhausted. There were nights when his mother's cough sounded worse, and fear crept into his chest like cold air. But he remembered the mirror. Years passed. After high school, instead of leaving town, Jimmy started small. He set up a folding table at the weekend flea market. A cardboard sign read, "Phone repairs, fair price." At first, only 2 people stopped by. He treated them like they were his most important customers. Word spread. He saved every dollar he could. He did not waste money on things he did not need. After 2 years, he rented a tiny space next to the grocery store where his mother worked. The paint was chipped. The floor creaked. But it was his. He named it Creekside Tech. He worked long hours. He greeted every customer with respect. He fixed devices late into the night. Slowly, the shop grew. He hired 1 assistant, then 2. He began selling his own branded phone accessories. Simple, durable, affordable. The same neighbor who once told him to think small now brought his truck in for phone repairs and said, "You've done well, son." Jimmy only smiled. One afternoon, Mr. Raymond walked into the shop. Jimmy saw him and stepped out from behind the counter. He shook the old man's hand warmly, holding it firmly, his eyes bright with gratitude. Mr. Raymond looked around at the busy room, the shelves lined with products, the young employees helping customers. "You kept cleaning the mirror," the old teacher said with a soft smile. Jimmy nodded. "It's still dusty some days," he replied. "That never changes," Mr. Raymond said. "But now you know how to wipe it clean." That night, Jimmy stood alone in his small office at the back of the shop. On the wall hung a simple mirror, not the old one, but a new one. He looked at his reflection. He did not see a rich man. He saw a steady one. Maybe you live in a small town where dreams feel too large for the streets. Maybe your bank account is thin. Maybe people have told you to be realistic. Here is the truth Jimmy learned. Your future is not decided by your starting point. It is shaped by what you do when no one is watching. The mirror will show you doubt some days. But if you keep showing up, keep learning, keep working, one day it will show you strength. And that is the day your story truly changes.